copy of the
We are
agenda?
red is on.
Anyway, today is Thursday, November 16th, 2017. Let this meeting of the Tilton Board of Selectmen please come to order. Let the record show that Ashley is not joining us tonight.
Oh, she's not at all, okay.
All right, may we please stand and pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have two brackets hanging.
Make a motion to go into non-public. RSA 91A:3, land acquisition.
Second, roll call vote, please.
Fogg, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Well, they have an opening
We are red, red
the
is on.
13th of
Time,
February.
5:20.
Oh, we need budget?
Sit your butt right back there. Do you want to ask questions on the budget?
From last meeting
Oh,
on the agenda.
okay.
Oh, I see.
Just quickly, so the security equipment, we did decide to go ahead. I know we said for the lighting equipment this year, in the budget.
You mean
Emergency
emergency
lights.
Wait, yeah, we've got to do that. Yes.
Okay. Which includes the basement. But I want to put a light up in your area somewhere. Because if we were to lose power, everything, streetlights, everything.
I have my flashlight.
He would go flying
I
down
have
the
my
stairs.
flashlight strategically located now.
What about the security equipment? Remember we talked about the adding some cameras?
I thought, didn't we vote to update the camera?
Okay, is that in this year or next year's budget?
We didn't.
That's why I'm asking.
We did not vote for, there was something else you asked
Open
us
the door.
for.
Yeah, and that's the next one, about, we did get the estimate.
We said it was okay to update the cameras, but we're not to use that door security thing.
Did we say that?
I thought we did.
Yeah, I thought we did.
All
To
right.
update, to put more cameras in?
And
What
what,
upstairs?
For upstairs, yeah.
so how many cameras? And
But we didn't go into detail. You
Well,
had the
I
details.
think-
thought we were just looking at that.
I think you need to have, I mean, you're asking us,
Why
we're
don't
not
we
experts on
This year's
security.
budget or next year's budget?
well, we have a
Let's
camera
spend it
that
on
faces
this.
the entrance, both
But
entrances.
you have nothing up here.
No, but they
But
from
the idea is, as I understand it, and it's been talked about, is that so employees know when somebody's in the building.
Yeah.
So we had an issue this week where we had two employees, one up and one down, that was it. So the upstairs person has no idea who's come into the building, none whatsoever. With a camera, and everybody has a second monitor, they could easily, if we had a buzzer on the back door, especially here, okay, somebody's entered the building, I think, glance over at the monitor, okay. We had a situation where one of our employees felt a few years threatened.
Yeah.
Actually, we've had 3 or 4 of these incidents of various
In the
employees
last year.
threatened by a townsperson, to the point that we were keeping the door locked, right? So, under those circumstances, if they could see who's entered the building, okay,
We do all have the ability on our computer stations to have that program, and you don't need a separate mic, you just minimize it.
that's right.
Because I know Dario always keeps his on.
Mhm.
But I was thinking more in making sure that we have some cameras up here on that door down there. So, and so people downstairs can see what's going on up here.
Will it fit on the system that we have now, or do we have to get a new system?
And well, no, I think we can move some of the cameras so that we could fit it on what we have now, but we'll have to get some new cable. I mean, there'll be some incidental costs, but
I would not be able to have one more thing up on my computer screen while I'm working.
Okay. Doc,
I don't know if I need another monitor for me, but I have a way out. Anything's gonna happen, it's gonna happen out here, and I'm downstairs, back in the door downstairs. John, I'm sorry, go ahead.
one of the things is if you have two people alone, you want to see who else, or if somebody else came in the building. If somebody else came in the building, you've already gone past the point of where you could have an issue. The best thing to do is, if you only have two people in the building, is to have, like on the back door, you can get an intercom system with a camera, a buzzer, and a buzzer on the door. Each person, like the administrator or the clerk, can have a phone that has that picture of the back door on it. Somebody comes up to the back door when they're there alone, says, hey, I want to come in, or I want to see the land use. They say, they're not in, come back in an hour. Or they said, oh, that's so-and-so, that's okay. Buzz them in, they're in the building. Once they're in the building, then there's no control, there's no security. You only get a picture of what they do.
That's right.
But to keep them out of the building is more important
But
to
here's,
only the people
worked well.
that
So
you want to have in.
so how do you know who to keep out of the
Neighbor
building?
has one, oh.
Well, if somebody comes in, just say that town hall is temporarily closed or closed, could you come back later? And you look and you say, it's so-and-so, I'm dropping off this,
But we
whatever.
post, so yesterday, for example, Al and I had scheduled inspections I had to go to, and there were two people, one up, one down. So I made the decision, I wasn't gonna leave and see if the lightning bolt struck. I said, look, just put signs on the door, temporary closed for till 9:30. It's an inconvenience, but still we did, they were safe.
Yeah, it was only
And
closed
we
for
knew
half
that-
an hour. I was back.
I was gonna say, I said, I think Joyce would be along before I do, so, and it was half an hour, their inconvenience. So in that case, we closed the door. But if you're buzzing people in and out, it doesn't matter. Unless you've got a security guard there checking IDs, and then he's checking with the PD, is this person dangerous? You don't know.
What would happen
You
if,
don't know.
If
You're
you
gonna
don't
buzz.
know, you don't let them in. But if it's somebody, like, let's say, Kathy Mitchell from the conservation says, oh, I've got this, or whatever, you could say, oh, okay, that's good.
Have all that.
But the fact is, any one of us, even the people we know, could have that type of mental breakdown.
you have,
You don't know where the lightning bolt's going to strike.
First
And
of
by
all,
putting
it-
cameras up and leaving,
but John,
It's
we
not gonna gain
Part
already,
of this
anything.
liability.
we already know that there's a communication issue here in town hall, because one doesn't know whether the other one is in or not. Several times you can come in here and say, is Catherine in? Oh, I don't know, let me see. Is Darry in? Oh, I don't know, let me see. And you all constantly, well, is Cindy here? I don't know. Well, so if somebody came to the door and said, I'm here to see so-and-so, that person is going to have to say, hold on a minute, if it's raining or snowing, that person's going to be out there. And I'm going to be checking around to the phones to see if Catherine's in. Now, Catherine might be down here talking to Dari about, something, or in Al's office, and they're buzzing her over here. I'm sorry she's not in. There is a communication gap. So I've seen that over and over and over again throughout my years as a selectman here. There's a huge communication problem here about who's here, who's not here. If kind of we got that squared away, it would be okay to just have cameras and say, boom, and now we've got the issue resolved, and not waiting outside whether or not to figure out who's here and who's not here.
And at this point, the camera, improving that, maximizing that, is the least expensive thing we could do. And it does cover us liability-wise. It's probably a false sense of security, but at least it's more than nothing. People feel more comfortable knowing there's someone in the building with them.
Right, and
would
also
it be a
people
good
will
idea
be-
to invest in a magnet board that people put, and I've seen it at other town halls, that they have their
Yeah.
names up there when they're in and when they're out?
We do.
Yeah, so
and-
where are you gonna put the magnet board?
Put it right by the back door, or where the
How could
person...
Cindy?
Well,
We already
I
have a
can-
board, but the problem is, as Pat said, it's lack of communication. But I think
Well,
that,
I-
this part of the conversation is separate from what do we do for the security? The selectmen already said, go ahead and
With
improve
the
the camera
cameras.
system.
Okay.
And that's what we should do,
That's-
unless you want
that's
to
the
take
question
another
I asked.
vote.
But I'd
We should
prefer-
have Ashley here.
If I may, just so when you're talking about a magnet system.
Yeah, but
Those-
that's another conversation.
Well, I just want to say,
I'd rather get done the camera whole discussion.
I understand, I just want to let you know that I did develop an electronic one that anyone can log in and say they're in or they're out, and then anyone else can see, who is still remaining in or out. And there's a way to do it through the phone system,
Are we
too.
connected to that so the selectmen can see who's in or out?
You could,
Yep.
yeah,
Or
but
can
people
you
don't
connect
use
us
it.
to that?
Well, some people,
People don't use
Well,
it.
can you connect us so that we can use it?
Some people
Sure.
don't want us to know where they're,
Yeah.
Well, it is directly related.
It is directly
To
related.
whether, and
but-
how we're going to, we
But
have
we've
a,
already made this decision on the cameras.
okay, so we can talk about that later. The other thing I had,
No,
prefer to
let
take it
John-
out of
let John
2017
finish his
monies.
thought. John has a thought he wants to finish.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
think.
if we don't establish what the true problem is, then how can we come up with the solution? The true problem is communication. If we're ignoring the communication issue and just jumping up to a solution for something that we're not sure what's causing it and haven't solved that, we're never actually going to solve the problem, right? So we have two things that we could do. Either have everybody use a magnet or that board, or put time clocks in, where people punch in and out, and we know who's there. We need to solve that problem and not just put more cameras up,
Well,
right?
wouldn't you agree for liability issues, there's no cameras up here. So if somebody comes up here and they say, well, I was up here talking to Dari and he was really rude to me and, shoved me down the stairs, then it'd be nice to have a camera to prove him wrong.
And they could do it out in the street or out in the
That's
field or
right, but
anything
at
like
least
that.
in
and-
town hall, we can protect ourselves liability-wise with more cameras. And if it gives our employees some more sense of security having them, there's no loss, because liability-wise, we've already had that.
And this is
He
what
said,
the
she said,
employees
but we had a
came to-
camera.
This was in the risk management sessions that Joyce has had throughout the year. This is the number one issue that came about, and they're coming to us to ask about those two items. We as a board said we couldn't afford to have the second option.
right,
So
What's
we
the
opted,
second
the
option?
second option
making,
was,
closing off the entrances and the
Well, I don't
lobby.
know if that was, we couldn't afford, it just didn't seem to solve the security issue. But the fact is, the board said go ahead with the camera system. If a majority of the selectmen here don't want to do that now, we can wait until Ashley comes back and put a hold on it. But
Will that be, my original question was it going to be 2017 or 2018, that's all?
let's use 2018 money so we don't have to raise and appropriate anymore next
no,
year.
2017.
I mean, 2017 money, I'm sorry,
2017,
thank you.
okay, all right.
I don't want to.
'Cause I already told some employees that we were getting
Taxes already
cameras.
went up on
We
So-
had agreed on that.
Okay.
To do it.
The next thing is, we had talked about moving, making that smaller office out of the land use office and moving IT in there, and how we had equipment and everything that it could look really nice, and having finance go
that.
in
If you're
there as
asking
well.
us for a decision, let's wait until Ashley's here.
All right, and when is all the equipment coming? What are we gonna do with all
We're
that?
getting the furniture Tuesday.
Can we get a formal thing written down of what the plans were?
No, but I
we
did
get
finally
that?
get the estimate on the door and the full wall, but
Can I
Hashing
divert,
it out at the meeting.
the thought process here for 1 second and ask the question whether or not we're meeting next week or not, so that we can figure out whether Ashley's gonna, so whether or not Tim needs to wait 2 weeks for the decision because we've got furniture coming.
Well, the furniture can be stored anywhere.
yeah, where?
Where?
Public Works, I don't know.
Well, we've already took some of that room already, right?
Public Works?
Up in the mezzanine?
No?
No, I mean, they said you could have some room.
Oh, yes, yeah, but I believe
Mezzanine.
the land use wanted to use some of the cubicles.
Cubicles.
Yeah.
Theoretically, there's a bookcase or something in there that I'll be able to use, so the majority of it can go down to Public Works.
Are we getting furniture that we don't need and that's why we need to store it? Can't we just disperse it to the places that it will be used? Instead of putting it
Well, and
somewhere?
that's the question. If there's no decision made about, say that office downstairs, then that furniture would have to go to Public Works. Some of the cubicles are spoken for. There's some storage things that they can use in evidence, have little drawers, which would be very useful for them. There's bookcases.
Some of
And,
it's small enough to go down cellar, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, some of it is.
Right, but my question is why are we getting things if we don't have a place that we specifically need to use them and putting them in storage? Why don't we get the things that we need and storing them?
Well,
Put the bookcase here, put the...
Because when
things
you're
up here.
getting these things free, it's free, there may be 2 or 3 items out of the cluster that we need, but you have to take the whole cluster.
Well,
Is that correct?
So-
Some of this was going in the land use office.
yes,
So we
but
can disperse and
it's-
get rid of what we don't want.
it's also upgrading what we have.
Right.
Where some of these are really nice steel case furniture, and some of the oldest desks we have are old metal desks that some of the drawers, are broken on, or,
We were going to take out of his current office and put in furniture there for the welfare, and then put in furniture in IT finance in the old land use office. So that's where the furniture's going that we need to store.
Some
We already anticipated and planned ahead for that.
Some existing furniture here that's old and outdated will go.
Right.
but
That
the
will
board
go.
hadn't agreed to that yet. So
Right.
last
haven't
week we were
gone there,
hoping to get
so-
that
and we
agreement.
will. But we have places to store.
So my question is,
Next.
are we going to meet on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week, or are we going to skip next week for meeting?
I thought we already agreed to skip next week for meeting.
I don't think we talked about it, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I
don't
think we
really care
talked
either
about it
way.
when I brought up the day after, what was it, the day after Christmas or
I'm
something?
flexible.
I don't really care, it doesn't matter to me. I'm very flexible.
Monday,
Actually, it's
we
a
may
tricky
have
schedule.
a police,
There's no budget on Wednesday night, so I know that.
we may have a police committee meeting on
We have
Monday.
a sewer commission meeting Tuesday.
And there's a big zoning board on Tuesday.
Monday is conservation, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Monday's conservation.
Looks
So we
like
don't be able to
skip.
meet Wednesday, so let's skip.
Skip,
But none of this is earth shattering.
okay. So then we'll just meet on the
You
Well,
want
third.
the potatoes, helping the turkey, and
Well, at your next
Making
meeting,
gravy.
at your next meeting, I would like to see that you're able to hold a public hearing for the grant acceptance.
Yeah,
On the
absolutely,
30th.
schedule it. Schedule
Whenever
it,
whenever
please.
you do
Now,
that.
does that have to be advertised in the paper or just posted?
No, I think just
Just
posted.
Okay.
Post it all over the place.
We'll
Okay.
do that.
What's that for, please?
And then,
The Emergency Management Performance Grant acceptance.
Well, the other thing is we're moving the PD ceremony to the 30th as well.
Well, so I don't think that date is set, is it, chief?
Well, he asked us today.
so what
I mean,
about
I'll
moving
go
to
by your
land
agenda.
use
I haven't
office?
given them the
Just
alternate date
stuff
yet,
in there?
so
And is the 30th gonna work, do you think?
I'll try to give them.
Well, we can do it whenever you're ready for it,
Somebody
chief,
at the
Okay.
table.
okay?
Okay.
I don't think we're scheduled out after the 30th, so.
Correct.
except for the normal budget.
All right, so back to the budget.
Bouger,
Okay,
You answered my question, thank you.
So, based on the board's voting last week, there've been a few changes, some major and some minor. Let me first cover the major change, which was to remove the expense of one patrol officer who is leaving the town. And so that was reflected, which also affected not only the officer's wages line, but Group 2 retirement, medical, life and disability, and Medicare. That was the
estimated gross amount was?
$73,000. So that was the major reduction, and you see now on the first page that we're looking at a reduction of $47,000 from year to year. When you factor out the lack of debt payments for Business Park Drive, it is actually a $96,000 increase, or 1.9%, depending upon how you wish to look at it. The other thing that I would draw your attention to is after the board voted on the particular departments, in some cases there were slight rounding changes by $1, either plus or minus. So I would just ask that, that, when we get to the point of voting on the whole budget, if you would just take that into account. The
I have a question. What would be if we took 61 Business Park Drive payment and subtracted that from this,
Right.
what would be the percentage the budget would be down?
Well, it's what you see in the black print here, 0.9%, which is 0.9% down, or
So if we
$47,000.
took the amount of the payment for Business Park Drive and subtracted it from this,
You can't. You would have to add it back in to see if we still had that payment.
because we don't have the payment.
Right.
So in order to, never mind.
So what you're looking at is without the payment right there. It would have been $96,000
Okay,
plus.
then we'd have to subtract
Then you subtract the payment.
not the payment, you'd subtract the dispatchers.
Mm.
In other words, I mean, for me, you subtract
Okay.
the payment because we don't have to pay that payment this year.
Right.
So this budget should be down that amount of money, but we've spent it.
Right.
Right. You're right.
So in that case, you're looking at an increase of, if you look underneath the 47,000, you'll see in light gray print, $96,000 and 1.9% to the right of it. It's awfully light on my copy, so
You gotta have good eyes.
I can
It is
darken
there.
that a little bit. But
It is there, but.
in other words,
I wrote over it, that's how well I didn't see
in
it.
other words, if you were to compare apples to apples year to year, it's a $96,000 increase. But we've added $117,000 for dispatch. So if we had not added dispatch, the budget would be down slightly, not taking into account Business Park Drive at all.
What was our payment to Business Park?
$143,500.
$143,500. Okay, I'll do it, I can do that.
Okay. So I've explained the major change in the reduction of the officer. I've explained the minor rounding issue because in the department requests, those are all calculated off of wage tables, and occasionally you'll have a 4 decimal place in the department request column, and that sometimes skews the total. So when I'm putting in what you've actually voted on, I'm putting in the amounts from each line, and sometimes it adds $1 or reduces $1. So I just wanted to point that out to you. It's just so that mathematically, when someone's looking at this budget at town meeting, they're going to see that, oh yeah, that adds up to that number, and it's not $1 plus or $1 minus. Outside of that, I put in all the items in the Selectmen's budget column that you voted on. Still to be voted on were the health and welfare, which I know you're meeting with the welfare director later. Also, there was a request from the chief regarding overtime, and I see the chief's here, so he may wish to talk to you about that. It still shows the amount that was in there prior, which was $48,000. And then lastly, in the outside agencies, the board had yet to vote on Tilton Northfield Recreation Council and fines. So those were the remaining items.
And we have a tentative date for December 13th with the Budget Committee.
They've met with all the department heads, right? Gotten all the information they wanted from them?
The Budget Committee?
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Oh, they haven't?
No.
We usually all go together.
I thought they went down to the PV and the highway.
Oh, they
They
met
haven't yet.
with
That's okay.
in the summer they met with Highway, didn't they?
But I
Well,
think
no,
they
they
were.
went to PD. Yes, we went to PD in the summer.
I would recommend they probably take another visit down to at least Highway
Works, yeah.
because of the new
The
equipment.
changes,
You see
right.
the changes that have been made there.
So,
We-
Yeah,
whatever
The
day,
budget committee members, right?
Maybe on December 6th they can do that.
So if we go to the budget committee on the 13th, we need to have all the department heads there.
Usually what
Either that, or we've also done it where we've presented the budget to them, explained things, and then they can decide who they want to call in when.
By law, we don't have
We've
to
done that
present
as
our
well.
budget to them. We just have to provide them whatever information they need to prepare their budget. And we've given them the draft budget. The other thing.
We haven't
But
given them
we-
a draft
We will on
budget.
the 13th.
The budget committee has not seen a draft of this budget.
No, because we haven't done it yet.
You
Once
haven't-
we,
We said months ago to go ahead and give them the draft. Oh, months ago. We said, go ahead, give them
No.
the draft. Oh, yes, we did. Watch the meeting. I know, I said it myself.
Well,
It's just
when
a draft, go
when
ahead and
the
give it
chair
to
of the
them.
budget committee has been here, she's received a copy, but it's. as
So
you
what have
know,
they been doing to prepare a budget?
They've been going through the outside agencies,
So they haven't prepared their own budget.
not as yet.
They'll wait till they get the presentations.
And talk to the department heads.
Yes, and then they'll decide.
It's not-
what
They're
they-
gonna prepare a budget out of ours. again.
Well, and it's
Okay.
not different from other years, really.
In order
Doesn't
for-
make it right.
Well, no,
As the selection liaison, it's only appropriate that if you are in the budget committee and you were elected to that position as a citizen, that you would want to meet with some of the department people to talk and ask questions about their budget, whether it be the police department or the public works, and they haven't had that opportunity. So they would not be able to make a responsible budget unless they knew what they were talking about and knew what,
That's why I'm
gonna
surprised
be
they
on there?
haven't done that
and
yet.
that's usually done. Everybody usually works together, you know, and
have them on
does
one
that,
night instead of
has them on
several
one
nights.
night. Or they'll go up to, like, what we're gonna do is go to the Public Works Department, have him show what he's done, what he wants to do next year, and this is why the numbers.
Right.
And us working together with the selectmen, you know, the selectmen and the budget, just makes that all more cooperative and gets it
But
through it
the
better.
whole idea of having a budget committee is to have that independent look at the expenditures and creating a budget. The selectmen are by law are required to prepare a draft budget, and the budget committee has no say over that draft budget.
So instead of using
So
the
selectmen, I mean, the budget committee can use, that's why I thought, send them the draft. Let them get started on their budget, give them our draft. It's a good template. So that's why I'm so surprised they haven't met with department heads so they could be formulating their budget. They shouldn't just accept our budget, is what I'm saying. They should look at it with very independent eyes. They should go, wow, why did they do that? Or, you know, why have we increased that? Independent of the selectmen. And when we appear in front of them, you know, if they say, why have you given another full-time hire to the public works? We should be prepared to vend that enough so that they accept it. Not just present the same old two budgets to the town meeting. Wouldn't it be
once
great
they-
if they had two independent budgets, one from the budget committee with separate eyes?
But once they meet with the selectmen, then they can set up and do their budget, what they feel it should be, based on
December
information given to them by the selectmen at that meeting.
December
Well,
13th is a little late.
and there's no
We
reason.
can go the 6th. She opened the 6th, but I thought that would be too early.
It's gonna be too early because now
And
she's not here.
There's no reason why we couldn't send them the department request. You know, everything up through the department request column. The only
December 6th would be
I
fine.
think that would be.
The only thing, Catherine, if I may, so the department request is what they would see. They wouldn't see anything about what the selectmen are doing at this point.
Well, that's what I thought we had said, send it to.
Well,
give
but
it
that's
to.
why, if the chief is recommending to put in $7,000 into the overtime budget, which, you know, I'll let him speak for himself, but,
A lot of things are changing with their
but
department.
that would show in the department request at this point.
I'd say just send whatever the department requests are right now at this point over to the budget committee.
Okay.
There
And
is-
then they can start looking at it and they can
I would send
then
them
have questions
So I,
ready.
this input, selectmen's draft.
Yeah, without our notes.
Yeah, selectmen's
without the
draft.
notes,
They should have had this months ago. So they're looking at it,
we
thinking
didn't have
about
it months ago.
We had a draft, I've got them all, we had them months ago. I have the draft.
September.
Wait a minute, yeah.
That's
Let's
tomorrow.
do it next week.
I don't
October,
too long.
September.
Jesus, I feel terrible. We haven't had any. That's, yeah, we should have done,
I'll send it to them tonight.
please do. Everybody
But
agree?
I will,
Get it out to 'em?
I'd like to find out from the chief what his request is for overtime. Make sure it's $7,000 so I can put it in his
Send
request
whatever
line.
we finalize, does everybody agree, send what to the budget committee, whatever we finalize tonight, if we agree to add in or subtract to the
Whatever.
budget committee.
Whatever the department heads have requested on these sheets,
Yeah.
send them over.
Just mark it draft, give them something to work with.
We finalized a lot of this last week when Ashley was here. I
Mm-hmm.
think it should go
Yeah.
to the budget committee. I do,
As draft.
as a draft, absolutely, because we
Yeah.
don't, there are some things that we don't have.
Is there any reason not to include the notes, though? I mean,
Well, why wouldn't you?
right, okay.
They're
I
just
thought I heard
working
someone say
notes.
without the,
It gives
Well, in the
them,
past, we have not included the notes. We've given them the
but
notes.
that was much earlier when we were vacillating and we've already made the decisions now. This will tell them why we made the decisions, wouldn't it?
or it explains
Might answer some
one thing or another.
questions
Yeah.
that
It's a-
expect.
certainly a trigger for John, you know, or whomever else is there.
Oh, that's a good thing, yeah, like crib notes. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
So, yeah,
Good meeting of the minds right there.
As soon as we're done tonight, I will ship it
Very
right
nice.
off.
Okay, so the only addition we're talking about to this is the chief's overtime. And you talked about that last week, didn't you, when Ashley was here?
I did, Catherine, yes. And
So
it-
that's,
Yeah, it's really just, not having that overlap car, the supervisors and the command staff felt that in order to keep a second car out in the busiest times, that I didn't need that money this year, that next year I will, and then, obviously, paid time off for our dispatch staff when they take time off as well. So between that and the emergency calls and court time, we talked about it, and, without that overlap car, we feel we're gonna be short, so, and it wasn't in my plan when I drafted the budget with Tim.
is Ashley in such a position that we could put her on speakerphone for a very short time just to go through
Yes.
this vote?
Yes.
You want to call her and see if that's
No.
okay? Okay?
No, she's not
Just saying, see if she's just a private, you call her and just see if you think you're, or text her.
great. Do you remember the conversation that we had last week about the...
I do remember that.
Talk about it and everybody put their brains together. and
You think that's part of that discussion? Okay,
something that we
so
need
hold
to-
that vote. So we're just discussing, it's like we're having a private conversation, I just realized.
I mean, I can call her if you want me to. I have no,
I'm just concerned about not having
My brain,
Ashley as
I don't
part
know.
of this vote, because we do try to have us all here, and it's,
right,
and if we're gonna go to the budget committee that soon, it may not be time to rescind or delete and cut. Although I guess it could be put on the 30th.
You can do it anytime.
we can ask to go to the budget committee on the
Let's keep
following
the
week.
13th.
It's tentative. I set it for tentative, and Johanna knows
Let's keep
it's
that
tentative.
tentative 13th date.
Okay,
Let's hold this vote until the 30th.
So,
the
but,
overtime.
but the chief is requesting $7,000, is that right?
Yes,
So that would affect the overtime line, that would affect Medicare, would affect New Hampshire
Right.
retirement.
right,
So is there any reason not to increase the department request line?
yes,
Yes.
There is a reason not to?
yes.
No, I just realized what you said, the department request is what he's requesting.
Yes, so,
It's
no,
not
there's
what
no
the
reason for
selectmen
that.
are voting on. Yeah, go ahead.
that's right.
Does anybody, it's okay?
No,
with
you
Peter?
can do that.
Yeah. Peter, you're okay with department request? Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so when I will
Yeah.
copy the
A
board,
department request is a department request,
Right.
and then that goes to the budget committee.
Why don't you put a note over beside it that indicates the selectmen have yet to vote on it or something?
they won't see any selectmen column, they won't see anything that you voted on, they'll just see what the departments have requested.
Okay, all
They
right,
won't see anything else.
okay, then that, we
Because
don't
we
have to
already voted on
explain.
it No, we didn't. We held it off on the
Yeah, we held
PD.
that.
Why couldn't they see what the department voted on? What the selectmen voted on? It's public information. Why are we withholding that from the budget?
Only because there's some that you haven't decided on yet. In other words,
Makes it less confusing? I don't know.
Well,
Maybe.
That's a good
it's
question.
public information,
Yeah.
and we did vote on it, so let's not.
It's more independent if they don't. Make up your own mind instead of just
I
copying.
can send it however you like.
I think they should have all the information available to them at the time.
I don't think that there's any reason that we should hold back on what we voted on and what we didn't vote on. I'm just concerned that PD we did not vote on. We held off on PD. Am I correct in
Yeah.
making the motion that we held off for that specific reason?
You actually voted on most of the PD lines.
No, we were voting on the bottom lines of these budgets.
Well, but the week prior, you had gone through, when Ashley was here, and had approved all those other lines. If you were to look at,
But did we approve the bottom line of the PD section of our budget?
no.
There you
So
go.
that's going to be
So-
a misconception to the budget committee on
Unless
that.
you make a note
They're going to get
that the
right,
selectmen have not yet voted on the PD budget,
the total PD
portion.
budget.
the PD portion of our budget.
So if the budget committee knows that, then they won't get confused on what we
Yeah.
voted on, what we
So
haven't.
the selectmen have
That would
not
be the
yet
only
voted
thing,
on
John.
the PD portion of their budget.
Right.
Okay, would it be
Remember, it's not
simpler,
the PD's budget.
would it
it's
be
ours.
simpler just to remove those items that you had prior approved
Yeah,
as a
they would.
consensus? Because,
I don't care.
Because we're going to vote on them again because
Yeah.
they're all going to change.
so that would, I think that would be
Whatever makes
easier to
it
understand.
clearer to the budget committee,
Right.
what's happening with our budget.
Yeah.
Right,
It'll
And then
explain
everything
even more
else-
why it's a draft.
right. Everything else, highway, admin, all that gets to
Yeah,
be, right.
Yeah,
It's so bad we haven't come to.
All right. Do we need to, what else do we need to do? Oh,
so you have the Tilton
Fines.
Northfield Recreation Council, and you have Health and Welfare. And then just, as I mentioned, the dollar plus and minus, if the board's consensus is to let that go as is.
on the
the-
alternate recreation?
No, on the.
Already said put a
the-
dollar in that.
It does have a dollar in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I was
Semi-youth
questioning.
was removed. No, I was
Yeah.
talking about the rounding, the issue of your vote,
I'm not concerned with that.
your prior week vote, some of them are plus or minus $1.
I'm not concerned with that.
The only other item, there was the Green Committee, was that it's, hasn't been active. There was a 0. It wasn't necessarily voted on, but
We should leave that as $1, though.
we'll make that a dollar.
Yeah.
We may have a green committee
But
at some point.
if you think about what the Green Committee does, isn't that kind of conservation commission stuff? You know, keep them, it's like, you know, if we had a community garden, I could see them kind of overseeing the use of that land. Is that what we're talking about? Because there's no more recycle and trash committee. The selectmen created that committee and the program's set, so that committee's gone. They transformed into a green committee, but they never really had a,
Well, isn't the
Reason
green
for bidding,
using
yeah.
LEDs instead of,
is that the
we had
green committee or is
energy,
that
but-
energy?
I think Green Committee is not green necessarily because it's green because of trees and conservation, stuff like that. It's just like
The
energy
combination of them,
savings,
right.
environmental,
right, the combination.
the environment.
Right. And I think
So-
that's why it was green.
You know, maybe it would be, well, I think we should leave $1 in there if we decide at some point that we're going to do some more studies on lighting or get some prices on it. We need to pay for an estimate or something on it. That,
Which we
we
at
could at
some
least
point
track
want
it
to do,
at some
right.
point by putting the money into that.
Do we have anybody in that? I know you keep trying.
And Ashley,
Well, wasn't it one time Denise Boudreau on that committee? Joe?
It was the old
Marge Bonneville.
recycling committee.
but the Energy Committee, that was
That was
not
on.
really,
God love him.
No. Norm?
Yeah, Norm started that.
Yeah. So how would it be if the selectmen, if we put something on the
Like a
website,
subcommittee kind of.
gave it a cause,
Yeah.
and
And I think
advertised it out there for committee members?
Mm-hmm.
Try to activate it. I mean,
I
if
think
we put
Gil
a
gave me
dollar
the
in
name
it,
of somebody which I misplaced.
if we put $1 in it, then we could, if they needed some
Right,
funds,
for-
we could.
Exactly.
Keep the green alive, and we might change the name at some point to,
Did you come up with a purpose for it and something we could throw out there to get people interested?
yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
So I'd put $1 in as the department request and showing it under the selectmen's budget. As I'm assuming the selectmen have approved the dollar. So I put $1 in.
Thank you.
It seems as though that's the consensus.
Thank you.
The Tilton Northfield Rec Council, is that something you're wanting to tackle right now, or?
I'll wait for Ashley.
Okay.
We need
You want me
time.
to text her, or you want me to wait till next week?
Well, let's wait until she's here. If she can
Okay.
physically be here, keep it the
Give her a heads
13th,
up.
it gives her plenty of time. We resolved the issue of not confusing the budget committee with what we're doing.
If you look at the very last page, you'll see an updated tax impact for 2018 based on the reduction of the full-time officer. So if all of our appropriation were spent and our revenues came in as expected, everything else being equal, including using this year's equalized value, we'd be looking at a 16-cent increase or 2.2%.
So that's half.
Yep.
Is that what I'm saying from last week?
Uh,
32.
Yes, well, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well, and recall, each penny is $5,100 of either expense or revenue, so. So if you reduce 51,000, you're gonna reduce 10 cents. So I just wanted to point that out to you.
Thank you.
Is there anything, any other change or any other discussion?
Anybody? So we're pretty close. We should finish it up week after next.
What was the last, the end of the year's, the camera, you thought maybe you could get that under 2000, the cameras, 2017?
We talked about the maintenance for
I
town
need
hall.
to review with Joyce, you know, the locations and, you know, what that's gonna mean, the number of cameras, locations. If we can relocate things, the expense would be minimal. So it would just be a matter of determining, I guess I don't really know exactly what you're thinking of, so. Well, we don't have to discuss it at the open meeting, but just trying to understand, you know, if we can, we will, certainly.
I would stand up here and just look. You're a pretty good judge after what we went through with Riverfront Park.
Mhm.
How many times did we move
Mhm.
those cameras?
Mhm.
And you worked with Mango.
Mhm.
And the other one was
And-
the round speakers.
Right, and I'm working on that too. I've sent them the layout here and pictures and all that, so they're looking at what our options are, what our best audio options are. But yeah, I have to say the surveillance system at Riverfront has just been absolutely rock solid, and you know, we captured really good images from there regarding you know, that accident.
Yes, that was well done, Jim.
The comp time, is that stopped?
Yes, I had sent out an email to police admin, and they were already in the works of you know, making sure the officers knew. And you'll see in the payroll, you know, people are using their comp time. It's trickling down, but there hasn't been any new comp time. No, Not since the end of October, which was the cutoff.
I didn't see the report in payroll. I did look quick to see how much time people had left. But like I said, I did look quick because I had to go out to a 9 o'clock inspection.
I was in somewhat of a rush on Monday. It's possible I may not have received that. Or it is there, I guess.
Yeah. So there are quite a
Is that-
lot, yeah.
That's comp time.
Well, the comp time is
I was looking to see how much paid time off they
Oh.
had. Oh, here it is.
yeah,
No, yeah, paid time off.
yeah, paid time
Earned
off.
days. Okay, I did find it, thank
Public
you.
Works and Police, right?
Yep, I did look fast.
So it is there.
So we still have some,
Well, there's a portion of it that they can buy out, but there's still
there's still gonna
some
be a lot
hefty.
left.
Yeah. There's planned
Yeah, there's some
vacation.
Yeah, there's definite vacation.
Are we gonna get stuck in December for
It
vacations?
looks like it.
No, but they're not all at once, it's spread out, but there are some people taking week vacations in December, so,
In December?
Wow.
for Christmas.
No special requests though for
No,
none.
no.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a second. Did you sign this? Is it ready to go to John?
Yep.
Okay, are we done with Bouger?
All right, I think that's done.
Joyce, have we covered everything you wish us to cover? Because we have 15 minutes before Heather is due to come out.
She might be on her way up, I just forgot to turn my sign. And the captain's very patient.
Okay. Is that for, what, Gaslight?
Yes, the Gaslight.
How are they doing? What phase are they in? I see they're constructing, but
Yeah.
Phased out? Huh? Hutter. Is the
They're doing
DC.
terrible on the water. The water is up at the
Why?
because they're not, they don't think they're gonna finish all of the converting the water over, the water lines.
before freeze?
Yeah. They have already told some of the residents, which I got a phone call from. And they completely block off access to homes when they do it. Both sides of the, going to the right or to the left, we couldn't
That's
go
up to the,
we couldn't go pick up the senior to.
that's up to the directors. Directors.
There was no, there was no way to access, they couldn't move the equipment at all, what they were doing, they were digging,
So why are the board of directors allowing that?
I don't know. But we could not get a senior.
Because if emergency
to go to the
vehicles
doctor.
can't get in there,
Mhm.
right?
Right. Well, yeah, we had an appointment to pick someone, an elderly woman up to take to the doctors, we couldn't get to her, she couldn't make her appointment. Twice.
And you said that the water, they're not gonna...
They were called, she called me yesterday and said that the water wasn't, somehow, some of the houses were told that they were not, probably not going to get to this year because it's taking quite a long time to hook up to water.
But that means they'll stay on
But it's
their,
not sewer.
they'll stay on their system, right?
Yep.
So I'd rather finish the sewer, quite frankly.
You know, it may be sewer, I might be wrong. I'm
They're going in
certain she
together.
said, okay.
It sounds horrible.
Keeps I'm freezing.
No, you covered everything else. I just gave you a little report.
So,
Last week.
is it an issue for the police department if they can't get in there? And my reason for asking is, should we send a letter to their board of directors saying that they must keep an access open for emergency vehicles? We're not the fire department, but I would think police would need to get in there if they needed to. Or is that reaching? Board, what do you think? Just send them a note?
Yes, I think let's just send them a note and
It's
tell them.
reaching? Peter, you good with that?
There's a lot of seniors in that park and you need to have access to emergency vehicles. And I know an emergency vehicle could not have gotten down where we needed to go. There was no way. And unless you could walk, and you couldn't even walk across driveways the way that they had dug up.
Oh, that's a big one. All right, so you're all set? Are you gonna have that CDBG grant ready for us in your office to sign? Or? Okay. All right, so there's no hurry on that? I agree. Thank you. All right. Heather, our welfare director, we're ready for you. She's right there. Yes, it is. We're moving right along. I feel the age jumping right on me every day. Yep. Yes. Do you have one for Joyce? You can give this to Gail. Ashley's not here, and we can, maybe you could leave yours for Ashley.
Send it. Thank you.
Welcome. Ashley's packet. Okay. Okay, you are here because the board had questions on why you thought we should increase the general assistance line by $5,600. Well, we lost 2 selectmen.
Apparently there's 2 meetings.
Oh, where's Paul? Can you take that microphone and turn it around so you're talking right into it? Pat, the board, we have a full board, which is awesome. So, yep. Matters which if discussed. So selectmen that are here, we're missing one right now. Well, we're missing 2, but Heather has asked if you want to do this in non-public so she can be very specific, or would you like to keep it to public?
As much as possible in public, but if there are very specific cases that we need to do a little bit of both.
I can do, it's probably better if I do it in, I can give you some more specifics, just,
Why don't we stay in we'll stay in public and see where it goes, and if we
Okay.
feel we need to go in there, let's be careful that our questions are not,
basically,
to specific clients.
my request to go over, increase it a little bit is because our expenses this year have gone up due to people taking longer to get approved for disability. I'd be happy to talk about cases, like I said, but it would be no need to go into non-public. I did a sheet with averages of expenses, but the biggest thing is that we're seeing more people come in, they're taking longer to get disability. And then people who are just on the edge of economic problems getting pushed over.
So, I have a question with that. So people come in and they claim to be disabled, but they're not getting qualified by Social Security Administration. And usually that's because they've got to file the forms and
Go through the
prove to
process.
them that they're disabled, etc. So, why do we accept their
Because we
disability?
take their doctor's note that says they can't work, and that's what we have to do.
Okay, even though the Social Security Administration does not.
We have to start with the doctor's note. If the doctor's note says they can't work, that's what we have
But the
to
Social
do.
Security Administration does not.
Well, they start.
And I'm not.
They have a process of
They have a
that.
process.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just wondering why their process is so different than ours.
Well, their process, usually when we're the first stop. So
Well, I
they,
understand that, but
so they come with us.
if we're taking a doctor's note at face value and just a doctor's note,
Well, if it's their primary care, if it's, like I had somebody today who had a heart attack, said that they can't work right now. So they're out of work. They got, they got served with an eviction notice, out of work. They're applying for disability. They're the first stop. Went to the hospital, heart attack. Doctors told them to file for disability. Now, the first step is they come here. Then I refer them to the Social Security. Before they even have the interview on the phone, it's going to take 6 weeks. So the first call, the interview, 6 weeks to get that phone call. Then they're going to be sent to the Social Security doctors for their physical. That's another 6 weeks, at least.
so why do they come directly to us and why aren't we sending them to the state?
Well, then I do send them to the state. But then that's at least 90 days before the
Okay.
state picks them up. But we're the
So they're
first
with
stop,
us- So they're with us for a maximum of 90 days.
maybe. Because the state is supposed to pick up in 90 days, but they don't always.
Then we should be reporting that.
I do report it.
No, the Board of Selectmen should be reporting that to our representatives.
I mean, I call the reps and say, this is what's going on, why is
Yes,
this
but
taking?
I'm saying the Board of Selectmen should because we have a little bit more impact.
Okay,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you
Because
could.
we are the top of the pyramid.
yeah.
Okay. We gotta change this legislatively.
It's just, it's what's happening is, then what, sometimes people end up with, even if they get some help from the state, it's not enough to pay their basic needs, their rent, their food, their lights. So then, there's still a gap. We had a young man recently ended up, I consider him a young man, he's in his, he's 32. His wife's 29, they've only been married less than a year. He is very ill. She has to care for him to a point that it's really sad. And she can't leave him to do anything. So she can't work. So they need total help right now. So they're going through every step and doing everything they can. But in the meantime, I'm helping them navigate this process. And
That's so wrong. There should be, at least on the state level, instead of being almost adversaries with us, they'd work with us. You could get that family help that would allow her to continue to work so she's not in jeopardy of losing her job, and he would have the assistance he needs at home. It's just tragic.
it's tragic.
I'm back to legislatively. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, I mean, like I said, over the years, we have these little blips at times that some of these come up more and off, but right now we've had a little blip of abnormalities that we've had more illness hit us than normal, and that's why the numbers have gone up. Hopefully they won't, but continue that way, but that's why I did a budget that is impacted that way.
There we go. At one point I had a budget that showed me the expenses from last year. So that was the trend for just this year. 2016, our total expenditure was 23,209. The year before that was 11,864. 2014, we were 16,470, and 2013, we were 27,15. So we're averaging a little less than that, 30.
But this year we've
That's
had a
it,
bad
roughly.
year.
So this is 1 out of
Probably, this
5
is,
years.
this is actually 1 out of
So
20
this
years.
is, this is not a normal year.
No, it isn't, but that's why.
So, do we budget for a lightning bolt?
Well,
We didn't with Public Works is
but she's,
overtime.
but what, I think what Heather is saying, she's already has a few clients right now that she knows that we need to be prepared for.
But we're supposed to be temporary.
We are
Right.
supposed to be temporary.
We're supposed to be temporary. We're not supposed to be 6 months, 12 months.
But even those, if you have 3 of those 90-day ones, and if we have to pay for the medical on, prescriptions on those 90-day ones,
God help us.
it's gonna throw everything out.
Yeah, but this estimate is rental 12 months average,
Mhm.
so we shouldn't be paying rent for 12 months.
But at 4 families, they're not the same 4 families, Catherine. They're different families that come in. I mean, we're not seeing the same families on a regular basis.
But this is not,
And then it's rentals is for 2 family disabled adults. That's the different ones.
right, and I'm looking at your total, but only 1 year besides this one in the past 4 has even come close to that, and that's our total expenditure for that department. That was 2013. Okay. Does anybody have any specific questions?
How many cremations did we actually pay for in 2017?
You're going to have 2. I have
How
one.
many did we pay for in 2016? One.
You're gonna have, I have 1 now that I have to pay for. We already did 1, we're going to have another one, because I just got the bill.
Anybody have specific questions? I think Ashley unfortunately had a lot.
Maybe I can reach out to her directly.
Pardon?
I can reach out to her directly.
Well, but it's a, yeah, I don't know what else to do.
So phone call time, she could call
Yeah,
her.
but the public should be entitled to that back and forth, those questions as well, but I guess it's to keep her up to snuff, it's the only thing we can do. Okay. Do you have any?
Yeah, and whatever information she has, she can share with us at the next meeting, and then we'll make a decision.
I mean,
Okay.
I thought you had gotten this. I didn't know you had it, because I had given this.
Well, like I said, I didn't know about the other selectmen, I know I hadn't seen it,
What's that?
Budget.
this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, no.
Right.
But it's good, I like it.
I tried to do it so it was clear to explain it, but I can give you detail about different cases. I just,
So, well, I guess, you know, I look at
Oh, thank
the economy getting better, jobs getting better, there's presently, there's more people on types of health insurance. It would surprise me that the welfare amount would go up, and
it's the people who are that are falling through the cracks is the problem.
I would think, you know, and logically, it seems like 5 years ago, when it was the toughest time for people to find work and people weren't getting raises and getting let go, that those would be the times when it was
Right,
up,
but there were
when
no
actually it was
programs.
going down.
I know. It's
And
just,
everybody's hiring, and no one can find people to work.
Yeah,
my problem right now is not, it's not people,
getting
it's the ill.
illnesses, and
And that's a lightning bolt, that's unusual.
That's what I'm dealing with.
And is that because demographics are changing in any way? Like, are the demographics of the people that are getting ill
No,
raising?
I mean, I have,
Is it a-
I don't think at 20,
It's in the air.
no, I think it's 20, I mean, the people I'm seeing are, you know, late 20s to early 60s. We're not talking about elderly people.
I think the time has come, I've said this for all these years, we've got to do something legislatively, and we really do. We had a meeting here once, do you remember?
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
It really didn't go anywhere, it was
It's more to do with homelessness stuff.
It was kind of good, but it was like, how do we resolve the issue of they get off the bus, they're ours? How do we resolve the issue that, and I can't help but think that the state purposely stumbles and trips while the towns and municipalities spend their monies first. I mean, it's hard for people to come in and ask for assistance. Most people are very proud they don't want assistance, but they have to. We shouldn't make it so difficult for them. The state shouldn't, and shame on the federal government. If we worked together
It's sad.
and all held to the same standard instead of the towns being strangled first. And really, that's what happens. Thank you so much for coming in.
Okay.
And you will reach out to Ashley for us.
Yeah.
Peter, did you have any questions specifically? Patty, you all set?
Nope, I'm all set.
John, you all set?
Well, I don't know how the shelters have opened up with,
A lot.
you know, how's that work on shelters? Working with them
Well,
and
we had,
supplying.
we had a family a couple weeks ago that had 5 kids. They took them. They're huge. Big help. So, they do a great job.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Well, thanks.
What's driving the budget is the illness. And it's the catastrophic illness.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Appreciate it.
6:30. All right.
6:30 and moving along.
We're ahead. Why don't we, do we have minutes? Okay, so, how about if we do selectmen's reports? Get those over with. I have some chief questions. Make them public, I think. Peter, do you have anything you want to bring to the selectmen's attention?
Yeah, can we check with Brock and check on the status? Have we done anything with cameras for the sander units on the plow trucks with winter coming? So we don't back into another vehicle?
Joyce, can you ask Brock that?
Sure.
Did I hear a yes?
Say that again?
Yes.
Thank you, Joyce.
Mounting some camera, I have a backup camera on my pickup, so anytime I put it into reverse, the camera comes on along with the backup, but the camera gives me an idea. Even at night, I can see shadow enough to see, okay, there's a vehicle. You'll see the headlights and all, so it'll stop the driver from backing in. But we gotta figure out where to mount it, because you got the sanders and all, so it may be on like the top of the,
But I missed the
Side
part
door.
about back, so we don't have another mishap. Did you say that?
Have we
Yes.
backed into things?
last winter.
Oh, last winter.
I think
Oh, yeah.
over the years we've had, I think, that I know,
Okay,
two
got
or
it.
maybe
I thought there was
3 backup
something.
accidents.
No, just because winter's coming.
Got it.
They seem to be more prevalent winter because
Um,
more
The other thing for
people
Brock,
pull behind them.
Island Park, 2:41 yesterday, the lights were on in the afternoon, so the timer's way out of whack.
Okay,
The lamp post, not Christmas.
yeah, because I saw the Christmas lights.
Check,
Is that timer under lock and key?
it's what I'm wondering, because, you know, I don't know if people are messing with it or what, but
So,
It's
is-
unlocked.
okay,
Yeah,
but
we-
there's a lot of keys out there. was a lot of keys up there. That lock hasn't been changed and
Well, did they put in, I think they, no, put a new lock on when the new timer went on.
Oh, so now no one has keys.
I don't even have one anymore.
There you go.
I don't have a key for it.
Guess it's,
So, I mean,
I used to have a key
how
for
does
it.
it keep changing? The power went out once.
Well, I think the time, yeah, the power went out once, and then it's getting darker earlier, so perhaps maybe it didn't get adjusted as
But that would
well.
only be an hour difference.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be coming on at, what, 3 o'clock? If it's just an hour
Well,
difference.
it wouldn't actually change when
Right.
it does, but if somebody went and adjusted the time
Oh, they did it wrong.
and did it wrong, so it actually, but some, you know, I think just a checkup.
Who sets the timer?
Usually Public Works, but they,
I was doing it like a year or so ago, and going over there in the morning and checking it every 2 weeks, but I've been staying out of it because somebody else, I give them a heads up every once in a while. I think last week I gave them a heads up because they were off a little bit.
Why do I have 3 keys to the island breaker box?
that's it. Maybe we were supposed to share them.
you're especially important.
That's why nobody else does.
Yeah,
That's probably why we don't have them.
that's why I can't go to it. I keep them.
Why do I really, I have 3 keys to the island breaker
I went to get one, they
box.
said there weren't any, somebody had taken them all.
Someone took them all.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
I have 3 keys.
Gail, remember the breaker box keys that we couldn't find?
Yeah, I have
Yes.
3. Hey, I was surprised I even had 1. But I have 3.
Just saying,
I only need 1.
have it all.
Who wants 2? Who wants 1? I'm sharing.
Put it in the
I only want one
key thing and
if
in the summertime.
Gail puts a little tag on it telling me what it is.
These are all the same.
I just, I don't want to.
All right.
Do we have new ones made up? I thought we had made ones made
I
up.
don't even know if these
A
are
number
new.
of them, and Leland said he was keeping them, he wasn't giving us any, because we went through too many.
Who said
You wanna
that?
give the breaker box a call, yeah.
No,
Who said that?
No, we can get them.
he was just joking.
Okay, I only have 1 of the others. Okay, so will you ask Brock to check on that timer, please?
Yep, doing it right now.
Thank you. Pat?
I wanted to thank the Tilton School. For the last 2 weeks, they've gone out with the seniors and raked, and last minute they got one on Cedar and Maple Court. Marie's tonight, which was last minute, which was great. So a big shout out to the students at Tilton School for doing all the raking, and a huge shout out to the Tilton Public Works for picking up all the bags that they created. Let's talk about Winter Street and the mess that the contractor is creating over there. I drive that every single day, and I don't know what they think flaggers are supposed to be doing. But I had yesterday, there was an excavator digging a hole in the road, and a flagger was standing like this with a slow and a stop, and it said stop, and I stopped with 49 children in my bus, and they expected me to go on the sidewalk with this.
It
And
shouldn't be on our sidewalk.
stop, and then he turned it to slow, and then he proceeded to walk like this down the sidewalk like this, and he wanted me to follow him. I said, I'm out here, I'm not doing that. You make it safe for me to travel with 49 children in a bus
The road.
in a road.
Can,
The other day I went, and the other day, I mean, some days you go, there's not a flagger. Another day, and the excavator's out there. Some days you do go, and there's a and then there's somebody that leans out of the excavator and goes,
I
or
think,
takes the hat off and goes,
Is it an orange
it's
hat?
ridiculous.
It's supposed to be an orange hat.
They block driveways where children are standing there waiting for the bus. They block the driveway. Now, if you see a child standing there waiting for a bus, and a dump truck's going to get up there and block the driveway, how do you think that child is going to walk around a dump truck to get on a bus?
No, underneath, should crawl under the axle.
Jesus.
It is ridiculous. And
Bus
then
drivers
if you
should
look
go
at the
escort.
condition of the road, nobody should be traveling on that
It's
road.
horrible.
Something has to be done. Somebody has to contact the state.
That-
You want me to contact them? I will, because that is the most disgusting road anybody. I travel 3 or 4 miles on a dirt road in Northfield, Shaw Road. My God, it's like heaven compared to traveling on Winter Street, which is half dirt and half asphalt.
Yeah, call Bill Brown. When I met with DOT at 61 Business Park Drive, they were all there, and I told them about
Brock's been in touch with them this week.
They're planning on asphalting it before winter. They said it will not remain gravel for the winter, although I don't know if that means it's
It
going to be
is,
asphalted.
it is horrific.
Yeah,
Could be seen.
Yeah. So, can you report back to Joyce, and then, Joyce, would you send an email out to the Board of Selectmen to let us know how that was resolved?
Can we have occasional cruises go up and down and see if there's flaggers up there? They should have a flagger up there at all times, both sides.
Are we checking the certification of those flaggers to make sure that they're up to date?
No, they're supposed to be certified if they're.
Well, can we check on the certification? Trust me,
And make sure it's up to date.
really.
Just because they have the certification doesn't mean they function to the standard.
And I told them 2, not less than 2, so if you see one,
So can we
Sometimes
just
it's none.
make the loop,
None.
just have an officer, instead of going down Main Street, tell them to go down Winter Street and just check. They can take a left on Deer Street again.
It's too
Well,
rough
it's
right
on the
now.
sergeant
You
now.
don't want to bounce around.
Just saying.
just saying.
Thank you, Pat. Anything else?
Just for an FYI for folks that are watching on the camera, I just found out, I didn't know this, but the church in Franklin on the first Saturday of the month next to Town Hall, I don't know what, it's the Baptist church or not, but they give out, instead of a food pantry, they give out cleaning supplies and like shaving cream and toothpaste and toothbrushes and things like that, instead of having a food pantry. So I think that that's really valuable information, and they serve Tilton as well.
Is that December 2nd?
Yes. So the first Saturday of every month, they do this for the communities, surrounding communities. So if anybody's out there in need of that, that church does it.
Is there something we could post on our website or kiosk, or
I'll get the name of the church.
maybe the church might have something posted. Everybody think that is all right? It's a nonprofit.
Yeah,
Let her know, too.
Oh, we'll let Heather know, yes.
because
See,
it's
that's spending money in.
that's a bulk of a lot of the people that are really in need of food pantries and things. They spend a lot of money on cleaning supplies and everything, and this church makes sure that they, once a month, this is what they give out. That's like gold to some people, that stuff.
John?
Not too much going on. I've still heard more complaints about MetroCast, excessive problems with paying bills online, and it was suggested to me that why aren't we going and bidding on, or going and having a different cable company come in, because there are companies that will come in that have come in through like the Alton area and through that part.
That question's been asked, and there is an answer to that. And doesn't it have to do with availability on
On
the
the
poles
pole.
and the lines?
They have to buy the right.
They
Well,
can- There's nothing
apparently
starting to come in. They
There's
have
some
to-
large companies that have been doing it because of exactly the same type of problems, so.
It
So
would be
that's
nice.
been asked, that's been asked.
Dish or
Few times on
DirecTV.
And
Netflix and Hulu.
That's what I have.
so anyway, I went by, the island looks great. They decorated the posts and the rails going across. The Christmas lights are up, it looks beautiful. And we're right here in the Christmas season.
Thank you, Asplin, for,
Did they do it?
They're
They-
going to next
tomorrow.
week. Is it
Yeah.
tomorrow?
I think, did
Yeah.
he say
Asplin.
tomorrow that they were coming?
Yeah, Asplin has volunteered to go and decorate our tree at no cost graciously.
They said they do it each year.
They'll do it each year, and they will replace the bulbs next year ahead of time. They'll donate the bulbs,
Nice.
We should,
lights.
Your tree? we should have a plaque made to put under that tree if they're gonna do this for us each year.
Mhm.
A little sign that
Thanking
says
them,
thank you.
just thanking Asplin for their donation to,
Absolutely.
I mean, I was down at Public Works today, I stopped in and they're making this giant star that's gonna go on the top. It's gonna be beautiful. Joyce, you're
Yes,
just.
thank you for saying tree. A gentleman by the name of Mike Harris called a couple days ago, and he and Belknap Landscaping would like to donate a 20-foot live Christmas tree that they will have cut and delivered. We'd have to figure out what we're gonna put it in. And they wanna know if there's where they can put it, and so we can decorate it.
24 foot,
20 foot.
20
Island?
foot.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't have an evergreen on the island, do we?
We're in the trough.
I'm not going there again.
Oh, no, I think I remember something.
Yeah, I'm not doing that again. There really isn't any place to put it unless you put it on top of it. There's not enough room. It would hang over the road. I think we should put it on the island. Share it with, Northfield owns half the island. It'd be kind of like sharing it with Northfield.
Somewhere.
We don't have an evergreen Christmas tree on the island to decorate. It's big enough to be seen, especially if we put it on the shore.
Somewhere near an outlet. I think.
I just said that. That was my first thing.
Oh, you did?
Vision of
I didn't hear
construction.
Okay, you're
What
right.
about where the tree was supposed to go out here? So did we already put a tree there?
The 20 foot would be kind of big.
Yeah,
that sounds
the
good.
canopy.
That's what we just said.
Yeah,
How about in the corner?
the,
Did they put something in the corner already?
the base is
Canopy
gonna
of
be,
that
what do you
tree's gonna
think?
be way too.
7-8 feet
At
diameter
least.
at the bottom?
I think the island would be
Yeah,
But
great.
we
There's
have
some
7 or
outlets
8
out
I
there.
just think it'd be.
You could put it in the trough, but I'm gonna be, just telling
Wants to
you.
go 10
How do
feet
you-
each way, at least.
where are you
I'll
gonna
tell
put your guy wires?
Well, just saying, you could put it in the trough, but
Gonna
What
blow
about
over.
phone will
It's
ring.
gonna blow over.
So we need an electrical outlet.
and there won't be one. I'd put it on the
How
island. There's
about in
electricity
the
at
one, no, the one at Winter Street, the monument up at Winter
The
Street?
Civil War monument.
Is there an outlet there?
There's,
Yeah, but
there's lights, I think, that shine up on the memorial, but,
have you looked at the apartment?
yeah, I wouldn't.
Seen the flag?
I think the island. I
You?
think it's a focal point. People come into town. If we put it between the gazebo and the shore, it'll stand out. There's outlets on the gazebo.
Is there power at Salmon Run?
When it's dark out.
Power at Salmon Run? I don't believe so.
Driving.
No, there is none there.
And it would be like sharing it with
The
Northfield.
backyard of the senior center, right there.
Yep.
There you go.
Nobody's
You have
gonna
an
see
outlet?
it.
Yeah, John Bernard will.
The
Yeah.
whole of Route 3 will see it.
Yep.
Not with the building and the fence and everything. Because when you're driving by, you're already gone by. You'd have to actually turn and look. I think the island shares it with everybody.
I think so.
And it's not,
Make a decision.
it's like I said, it's like sharing it with Northfield.
See you coming into
Make a
town.
decision.
People like to go for a little
Catherine's in
walk
the
over
island.
there too.
Put it on the.
People love
Take
going over to
pictures
the island,
at
yeah.
Christmas time on the gazebo.
Yeah.
We could get Santa Claus to sit in the gazebo.
Like a suit.
Fishing pier.
Should we,
Consensus.
should we see if the veterans home
From
needs
the
one?
top of the bell tower to
Highway
Riverfront,
Department.
They don't need
it'll be a lightning rod.
Not a bad idea.
Highway Department, right out front, right in that little grass area.
Salmon Run?
They don't need
No power.
No.
No power at Salmon Run. PD, right out front, right on the hill.
We can't see around that corner anyway.
We'll line the
On the
cars
hill.
up to look at a tree.
On the hill,
The sign will block it.
behind the sign,
Island,
in the parking lot.
island, island. It has power.
Where'd you get some
The
public
parking
comment?
lot at Tilton House on the pump station.
Okay, audience, what do you
Oh!
Island.
20-foot
Oh,
Christmas tree being
right in
donated
the-
to us by Belknap
I got it.
Landscaping. Where should we put it?
In the parking lot at T-Hop, in the median there.
On top of the pump station.
Electricity.
no power.
Pump station must have electricity.
I'm sure that they'd really like us tapping into that.
Cars.
I'm not doing it, you.
We don't have electricity down there?
Do we have electricity at the island?
Yes, in the gazebo.
In the gazebo? So they could run a cord
We
from
have-
the
That's
gazebo?
right.
There are a couple of the lampposts that also have outlets on them.
Yep.
Just put it on the island. Just put it on the island. Everybody will
Move
see
on.
it.
All right, the island, yeah. But let's make sure we do the courtesy to ask the selectmen in Northfield.
All right, can I just say one more thing?
Yes.
Just, it's 2 seconds. Thank you for the Spalding Youth Center for their beautiful Thanksgiving dinner today, and hooray for the children today that served it. They were awesome, absolutely awesome, so thank you. Shout out to them, thank you.
Can we say something about the PEMI grand opening?
And the PEMI, go ahead. PEMI, open today, grand opening, ribbon cutting, beautiful, beautiful setup out there, the offices. The kids were awesome. They were engaged in playing games and everything. It was really nice. Awesome.
Yeah, and people should go down and see all the great work that's been done there for our children.
Yep. Awesome. That's going to be a really,
Okay, we
really
got
good
15
setup.
minutes, I got a couple.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Oh, no, I wasn't done before.
Oh, go right
And
ahead.
the other thing I want to ask the board to consider, and I'm going to bring up to the Conservation Commission, that possibly as a last to be plowed area, and if there is time available to plow the Salmon Run parking area. Now, I know we haven't last year, but there's quite a few people that like to cross-country ski.
That's why I was wondering why it wasn't.
And it would be, it's pretty full over there, and that might be a great place to allow some parking where people could take their cross-country skis off and utilize that for some winter recreation.
Would you, the Conservation Commission, if they were snowshoeing or cross-country skiing around Salmon Run itself?
I think it's a great
You
idea.
know,
I'd do that.
cross-country, and
I'd
have
I mean, not
the...
on the trail, but right on the Salmon Run Conservation Area.
Yeah.
That'd be okay?
Yeah, I'm sure, you know, it's snow covered, even, you know, foot traffic's great.
I did
But
those before, and you
that would
guys-
be the Public Works to do it on last thing that needs to be done, not...
Does anybody object to having Public Works put that on the,
Yeah, just put,
Backlist.
low priority, yeah.
yes, Joyce?
I thought that Conservation Commission, they didn't want it plowed, and they put a cable.
They did last year.
That's what we did last year to not maintain it, and I was going to ask them at the next meeting
Okay.
if they would like to consider plowing it.
Okay, so could we tentatively let Brock know that that's a possibility? And that we'll let him know what the
Very
Conservation
low
Commission
priority.
decides? So, does anybody object to doing that, so that if they make that decision, they can just let
No, get
Joyce
her
know
down.
and she'll let Todd, are you okay with that? All right, so if they make that decision, just let Joyce know.
I'm very okay with that.
I am too, I think that's a great idea. That's a
Did
good
we-
one, John.
Did you bring up the community garden yet to conservation? Who was going to send that
That's
letter
next
to
week.
Joe?
Next week. Oh, next week.
John was gonna mention at their meeting, which is Monday.
Okay.
Isn't it Monday coming up, just before the select? Yeah, okay. We still have 15 minutes. Are you all set? I have two things. One of them, we need to talk about as a board how to manage the attendance in town hall, so we don't end up with one employee downstairs wondering if she is in fact alone downstairs, and one employee upstairs, and vice versa. And Joyce, do you have any suggestions for us?
Yes, I do. I started writing a policy. I've got the authority and the purpose, and then do you want to talk about that now? Or
Yep.
Well, we have
because we're
about
still waiting?
15 minutes
Let's
before.
talk
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now we have about 12. It's 12 before 7.
Well, we're still waiting for a couple more.
Well, first thing, the policy that I have been enforcing here at the town hall is that there have to be 2 people in the building. It's never been designated that you have to, one upstairs, one down, 2 downstairs, 2 from the selectman's office, this or that. Everyone knows we have to have 2 people in the building.
Can I break in here? Because Johanna was never part of the equation of the 2 people in the building, because she can be called out if a sewer system fails, pump fails, watching construction. So she shouldn't be part of that equation, because, like Al isn't, because they can be called out.
Well, anyway, everybody, with the exception of one person, when they're coming and going, they always stop, even Johanna, even Al, okay? And they let us know when they're leaving the building. And Catherine, and when they're coming back, okay? Or if they're going to lunch or whatever. If Gail's not sitting there and I'm there, they tell me. Or I'm not there and Gail's not there and Tim's there, they tell Tim. Between Tim and Gail and I, the 3 of us, we make sure that the selectman's office is covered. I don't think of it as the selectman's office. We are all employees of the town. We are town employees. And we all care for each other's safety. And we all keep each other informed of where we're going. Even Johanna, even though she doesn't have to.
She does.
She does.
She's
okay?
very good about it.
And it's never been, that I've been told, well, no, that the policy where there has to be 2 people from the selectman's office. That is not true.
Okay.
That's not what I've been told and been enforcing. So I think it should be incumbent upon every employee that works in this building that if they're taking a paid time off day, or if they have to leave or whatever, it always comes through the selectman's office, okay? Because we do the payroll. We all have the same tax ID number, okay? It's the selectman's, it's town hall. That they notify the selectman's office, which could be me or Gail. We're not here, Tim, because between the 3 of us, we do our best to make sure that one of us is here. There is the occasional emergency, like I had on Tuesday, was it?
Yep.
Tuesday.
And Tim ended up being called out
And
unexpectedly.
Tim ended up
for
being called out. Tim said,
dispatch.
I said, I got an emergency. Tim said, are you gonna be here this afternoon? He said, yeah, I'm here. I said, okay, that's fine. I knew Tim and Daria were gonna be gone all day, Wednesday and Thursday at the conference. I didn't know another person was gonna be gone. But I made sure that, we would be covered. But there are times when that does happen.
And that's the
People
missing
don't get
equation in all
upset.
this.
People don't normally get upset. And so, anyway, I just think that it's incumbent upon the person. We're town employees. It just so happens we work in different departments, but we all work in the same building. That if you're gonna be out, whether it's to lunch or whatever, and you don't have the other person in your office there, and you're gonna be gone, and they need to go out, then you go and you tell the selectman's office. And we will make sure that someone's there.
So you're gonna create a policy for
Yes, it's
us?
half written,
But that's okay. And
because the
So-
rest of us all do it.
what I'm hearing is maybe we should have a letter from the Board of Selectmen that goes to,
Will be your policy.
Well, I think maybe something beyond that, that lets that employee know that they have to be part of the program.
Because this has happened on many other occasions when we don't know, which is a special circumstance, and that we have had to change our plans at the end of the day,
Last minute.
Okay.
last minute, to
Let's-
stay.
Let's try to come up with some language for a letter that could be sent out to let them know that this is our policy. They have to be partners in it, or shut their
And if
office.
someone's not there, leave a note.
Or they'll have to make a decision to shut their office.
They
You
could close
think?
their office.
Does that sound?
I think that the selectmen have been more than lenient on trying to work with the employees with everything, whether it's, meetings or whatever, on getting out of the office and doing what they need to do and getting the jobs done and working around whatever they need to work around with. It's really basically a communication. It really boils down to a communication thing. And I, for one, don't want to have to say 8:15, 8:30, 4:15, you have to be in this office and nobody else moves and this is the way it is and that's it. We're done with those days. You have meetings and conferences and I want you to be out and meet with the state and do this and do that. So we have to have some type of movement here, and it has to begin with the communications. And if we can't have communications within our own building, we're less than a dozen people. It has to work.
And the other thing is that when there are those of us that work here after business hours, so we always make sure when it's 4:15, because I know that they lock the front door, that we say, hey, I say, Tim says, Dari says, we're working late, can you lock the door? I say to the selectmen when you leave, and if I'm here late, can you please lock the door?
Mm-hmm.
And we have an individual that doesn't do that, doesn't think that that's their responsibility to do.
And maybe that should be included in the letter, because
will be.
again, it is the Board of Selectmen that control the use of this building and certainly the security of the building.
Right, and the
And
other
they
part.
have to be a player in it.
Yes. And the other part that I was going to add is, how do we handle when we have evening meetings? And, how do people get in and out and who's responsible? I usually tell people if anybody wants to use the town hall, it's like, there either has to be a selectman or a staff person, or in the case of the fire department, we have Kathy, who she's fully aware, these are the exits, this is how you lock this door, these are the light switches, this is what you do, and we train them. If nobody can have that, then I'm sorry, you can't use the town hall to me,
Thank you for doing that,
because
Joyce.
we have to protect our assets. There'll be meetings, sometimes I'll come, if it's an outside group, I'll come and be the staff person for it, to make sure that they,
Thank you.
okay, so
Okay, so
it works.
do you think you'll have that for us?
Well, you have our
For the
blessing to
next
go
meeting?
ahead and do that because we'll back you up on it.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing it.
Okay. Still waiting?
Anybody
Next.
else gonna come?
Yeah, Tom said he was gonna come.
I have a quick thing.
The only one is.
So do I. Who's first?
Went and got a quote on a body cam for Brian.
Yes,
Just coming back, he
Body cam for who?
for Brian. did
Brian,
this.
we, remember the body camera that came in and we said, why is he?
Ryan?
Big
Detective.
calendar.
Yes,
Yeah.
he was doing it out of his own
Yeah,
stipend.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
but anyway, what I need is with that, there's an extra license for him, it's $180, which is not obviously in my budget, but it's a 3-year license, so it's 180 this year, 180 next year, 180 year after. It's a 3-year license.
Yeah.
I would just need the okay from the board to be able to proceed on that.
So this is a license for our body camera?
Yep.
Or the one that was purchased outside of our body cameras?
No, for our
For
system.
ours.
For ours. This is to add him
To the license.
To
to the
license.
licensing.
We already have one for the other.
Why wasn't that done when we got the body camera things?
We did patrol. Detectives at the time didn't want them, so
Well, is
they were
that
working
really
with the
their-
car.
Was that their purview, or was that our decision, your decision?
Yeah, I mean, they predominantly work very undercover in their capacity, but more and more often than not, they're backing patrol, and so that's why they brought it to
Okay.
attention, so.
I won't belabor it. John, did you have?
Yeah, I think our license is about to expire this year. So could we make it so that it works concurrently with the other licenses?
I think we have one more full year with the other
One more year?
ones.
Would they allow us to do 1 year and then we
Then bulk
renew
'em
all
all.
of them in? So that if by chance,
I believe so. This is, they had to send
We
it
had
to
a
their-
5-year, didn't we?
Yeah, and they had to send it to their legal team because it's contract, so it is in addition to that. It would be added into that, but they wanted to show a breakdown.
Oh,
This is what
so
the
would
license-
all the cameras, including this one, would end at the same time?
Right.
Correct, it was prorated.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't remember what the date was.
It's a small amount of money, but because it's multi-year.
And then the license comes with the camera. Yeah, I remember that, okay.
And that gives us the ability to use the
But you can
software and the
log in
tracking and
all that.
log it on and be part of their cloud, their
Yes.
file system, yeah.
Is he the only one doing that, or is Nate gonna come?
We already have a
couple-
license for Nate,
Okay, good.
so it was just Brian's
Okay,
license.
got it. I'm fine with that, I'll motion for that.
So
Who's gonna second?
if we have a minimum now of $1,500, why are you here?
Yeah.
Well, the only reason, just because it's a multi-year.
It's nice that you're here letting us know the info is,
Oh.
when we've asked a lot of questions, so that was good, but. Okay, you made a motion, I'll second it just because it's out there. Any more discussion? Peter, did you have any questions you
Don't
wanted to
tell
ask
them.
about it?
Don't tell them, it's right before Christmas.
I don't know.
Oh, you
Talking
blew
about,
it.
so.
Well, we increased the limit.
No, no, that, no, I was in the bathroom, you guys are discussing something, there's a motion
Oh,
and a
I didn't
second,
know
I
you
had
were
no clue
gone.
what it was.
I
We didn't know you were gone.
I will tell Peter.
You didn't raise your hand when you left.
You didn't even ask permission.
I knew he was gone, I heard.
It's for the license for
For one of the
the
detectives.
body camera.
Let the chief,
Okay,
let the chief explain it
Aye.
to him. That's what you needed? You're good.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to get it moving.
No.
along.
No, yes, I'm just picking it. Are we waiting for more? Do you want to give him a few more minutes, because I can keep talking?
Maybe the chief did something. You know we have a 15.
We talked about something.
Did we say 7:15 on the
You
thing?
said 7.
7?
Well, I know it was 8, but then,
Do you want to give him a few, just 5 or 10 more minutes, or
Tom and
go
Tim.
forward? I keep hearing people talking, so.
whatever you decide, I mean, if you want.
It's your evening, and it was nice of you to come, take time to
Give him a
come,
couple
so.
more minutes.
All right, we'll give him a few more minutes. All right, I'm next.
Oh,
I remember you. So, I'm gonna say this, I'm a selectman, and I should have known, but I didn't know. It's been made aware of to me that 5 cruisers go home at night.
What do
woo.
you mean go home?
That 5 people are taking town cruisers home with them at night. Okay.
Explain.
It's also, my understanding
Two
is,
detectives, and the-
2 detectives, the sergeant, the captain, and the chief.
Right.
Okay.
Why are the detectives taking a cruiser home?
Because
Clear
they
the
get
parking
called out, they get called out all kinds of crazy hours, they work crazy hours, so.
But that was never in the, I've never known a detective to, when did that start?
It's always been.
No, it's not always been.
Back when Mike Farrington had, I don't think he, I don't remember if he.
Can you guys come up here so the conversation can be heard, please? Thank you.
We only have 7.
I don't want to, if this can't, when
5 of them are boys.
they're ready to go, we're going to go, so we may have to continue this conversation.
The black sound tape was Detective Farrington's.
Correct, and I don't know if he took it home or not, but.
But now we have brand new vehicles that we purchased a year or 2 years ago, and now we're having them take them home out of town, and they live a distance away. One's in Canterbury, and one's in, oh, in Northfield? I thought he lived up in Plymouth.
No, he's, Northfield's all done.
So, I understand the detectives may get called out anytime, like first responders is called. Why both of them? They're scheduled, right? So why would both of them take a cruiser home? They both work the same schedule, right?
They go straight to the scene, like if there's a,
Right, but do they both respond? Or does just
Sometimes.
one respond?
Like the K Jewelers, they would both respond.
Well,
Because
that's
there's
like a shot in the dark. I mean, hope that doesn't happen.
We never know what's gonna happen.
I'm
So,
a lightning bolt.
If there is a lot of evidence to be collected, then you're gonna need more than one
the last
detective.
two overdose deaths.
But couldn't the
they
lead
go to
detective
RPD?
be the one to take the car home, be the first responder, and if the second one needs to be called out, wouldn't there still be time for them to go to the police department, get a car, and then go? And I don't know. I don't know police work. I'm asking you because it was brought to my attention, and I said I'd bring it up.
Sometimes you might have multiple scenes.
You might have what?
Multiple scenes. So.
Really, at the
say-
same time?
Yeah. So if there is a
Sorry, we
victim
still
of
count
a
every corner.
violent crime and they're at the hospital, one detective is going to the hospital while the other detective is going to the crime scene. So you sometimes have that, multiple scenes. You're gonna need multiple cars, and one of those cars was paid for with forfeiture.
One of them is a drug car.
So who's the fifth one?
The sergeant.
Sergeant Morrison, the captain.
He lives in town, the sergeant, and myself,
No,
and
that's
chief.
not a horrible.
So, and I drive the oldest, one of the oldest cars. So, been paid for a long
You're
time.
brave. I've seen that car.
I know.
You drive so far. You know, I guess he drives the farthest.
And they have been called in a lot lately, and been processing the scenes and.
So, I understand the detectives. I didn't really understand, I still really don't completely understand their job and all that they do. The sergeant, why?
Because he does on-call coverage when there is a
What is
supervisor.
on-call coverage?
So,
I'm sorry.
if we have one supervisor that takes vacation and the other supervisor has been adjusted to cover different evening shifts, sometimes there's supervisor openings and the sergeant will cover it to save the town overtime.
3 in the morning, sergeant's meeting.
If the Dunkin' Donuts catches on fire on West Main Street, he's usually the first to get called, and he will roll right out there and assist the officer on duty.
Okay. So, the corporals don't take cars home? Well, the detective does, but the other corporals don't.
Patrol corporals.
Okay. So the sergeant does as a supervisor extra position. And I'm sorry, I have to ask this. Why wasn't he at the accident on November 4th?
One accident, the riverfront? I don't know if they called him or not.
So here's my next question. Is that a normal situation where you would have called out a supervisor?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
If it was a fatal or a serious injury accident, then yes, they're gonna notify a supervisor.
They seriously injured the property in a park. That doesn't count. Okay, I'm sorry, I just really truly don't
I
understand.
mean, a couple of the last really bad accidents, fatal, near-fatal accidents, he's rolled out from home.
Okay.
And, if it's something like an armed robbery or something like that, obviously the captain and I will come in, but he's usually the first one there from home, kind of get in and get things going. And I think, where he lives so close to the PD, having him be able to be on call is a
That
nice
is-
benefit.
I can see that as an extra. Now I'm going to pick on the captain. Why the captain?
I get called in too. If there's an officer involved shooting, who's coming in? Who's getting called?
Well, I thought that's why we had supervisors.
Captain does it not.
That's
The
it.
captain does it.
Yeah.
Because it would be an internal investigation on it.
Investigation, right.
When we get called in.
But isn't that a lightning bolt? We've never had.
Belmont has had two recently, so, I'm knocking on wood too, but.
So it is that imperative
A couple of years ago.
that
we
you
had
were
one.
able to.
Yeah, we go in cycles. So it was a while there, we had
Yeah.
7 robberies in 1 year. And
We have had lots of taser strikes.
Right, and, last December or November, we came out for a fatal on near your
Oh,
house.
that was awful, yes.
So, we get called in for that too.
That was awful. Okay.
I mean, when it hits the fan, we all come racing in.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this? And we can continue it because it looks like we're out of our committees here. Does anybody have anything they want to ask the chief
No,
and captain about that, or is that
Didn't know.
explained well enough? Yeah. Peter? Are we good? Thank you very much for being on the hot seat and clarifying that and explaining it to me, and I apologize for not the knowledge of your
You warm
work.
enough now?
I really, truly, I try not to know. I'm telling you, cow in every corner, still. Our committee, I have to start this by saying thank you so much for volunteering and the hard work you're doing. I really, really, really appreciate it. If you gentlemen want to come up, and you don't have any ladies,
I'll pull the chairs up.
can we bring your chairs up so we can all,
Yeah, bring
maybe,
the chairs.
where's our third roll around?
Good couple over there too.
Joyce pulled it over here, sorry.
Right here.
What happened to the other 2 blue ones? We used to have like 4 of those.
Joyce
Blue
has
ones.
one over here tonight.
All right, while we're getting situated, I'm going to make a motion, we go into non-public session under RSA 91A:3. D, consideration of the acquisition, sale, or lease of real or personal property, which, if discussed in public, would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are adverse to those of the general community.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Scanlon, yes.
Bog, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Hold on.
We are red is on, time being 7:45.
Motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as it pertains to the purchase of property until the matter is resolved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Bog, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask the board if they want to continue with the discussion we had last week in non-public, or would they rather wait until the 30th when the full board is here?
We can, either way, it doesn't matter to me. I'm fine with continuing it. Doesn't matter with me. I think that we can ask for specific information so that it will be brought to us next week while the officers are here.
Do you want to go in for a little
Or
while?
schedule.
Okay. What is that, A, B, C, D, is that D? Nope, C. I just did D. Motion to go into non-public, as per RSA 91A, colon 3, C, matters which if discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the body or agency itself.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Bog, yes.
Constantino, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We are red is on.
Must,
Time being
okay,
10.
yeah, that has to, yeah.
The way
That
they
would
used
have
to
to be
take
it.
TPs down.
Motion to seal the non-public minutes as they pertain to matters which if discussed in public would adversely affect the reputation of another permanently.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Constantino, yes.
Bog, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Dawson, yes.
I had one-
Any more to come before us in a public session?
Yes, I want to ask the chief about some, there seems to be some confusion with the 911 system and the numbering. And it's been brought up for a couple of years. If Franklin Savings Bank gets a call for like a fire or a holdup, they're reported being 61 Laconia Road. The diner is also 61 Laconia Road. So, under 911, they would be, the fire or the police department would be dispatched to the incorrect building. The same thing is with Upper Crust Pizza, Dunkin' Donuts, and Evans, that everybody has conflicting numbers, and that the numbering system for all of those buildings through there don't specifically identify each building.
Who,
So, and I guess this has gone on for quite a while, for a couple of years. The
Barry
911
gets the numbering.
does Dari do the numbering now for us for 911?
I know he.
Or do they come to him and he enters them into the system? But is he our 911 contact?
Yes.
Okay, will you make him aware of this?
Can he get back to us as to what the present listing is in the 911 system for each of those, facilities?
Yeah, that's
What do
Dave.
we got down there? We've got Upper Crust, we've got Thai food,
You have the Thai food, Upper Crust, Dunkin's,
we've got
the gas
Fund
station.
Savings.
Plus
No,
there's
The,
another,
if the
something else in the
visitor
bank building.
It's not Chamber of Commerce, but it's
Something.
like
center,
a,
Region
Yeah.
Visitor Center,
Visitors.
Visitor center.
Visiting center, yeah.
that would be good to straighten
And the
that
diner,
numbering system out.
right? You said the diner. And Subway's in the.
Subways in Evans.
Good. Boy, that's
Good job,
gotta be
John.
dangerous. That's gotta be confusing.
Yeah, especially if they hit the hold-up alarm.
I'll hit them tonight on the way home.
Which way do we go?
Everybody shows up at the diner.
Nobody heard
The donut
that.
shop.
Nobody heard that. Wow, that's
Okay,
important.
Peter.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Yes,
Another
good meeting.
successful evening.
And you're taking tomorrow off?
So,
Kim's birthday. Happy